Hello there, and in today's video, we're going to delve into the answer to the question, what happens to an IEP when you homeschool? So for many parents who maybe become frustrated with their current situation in a public school and want to pull their child out and that child has an IEP, there's concern about what happens to it. Along with it, though, is also what if I think my child needs one? So in either case, we'll kind of touch upon those in this video. The first part of this video, we're going to be talking about what an IEP is. We'll break all that down, and then we're going to talk about the legal aspects of an IEP, because an IEP is a legal document. There are federal laws as well as state laws that govern this. The third part of this, we're going to be talking about the mindset and how your mindset will be crucial in overcoming any learning challenges and addressing and implementing an IEP. And then fourth are some strategies for doing just that. How you take an IEP and how do you implement that in a homeschooling setting. And lastly, we'll be looking at a real life example of somebody who struggled with learning, quote, disabilities, end quote, to become highly successful. So an IEP is an individualized education plan. The whole idea behind an IEP is that there's a child who needs special services to help them fully develop either academically or sometimes even physically and all. So you could have an IEP because of physical disabilities that impact your ability to access your education, or you might have learning challenges that impact your ability to access education. It could come from things from like eyesight, being hard of hearing, to being dyslexic, to having processing speed issues. There's all kinds of different categories that fall into this IEP umbrella. And then the IEP is simply the plan that's going to be implemented and who's responsible for what role to help that child fully access their education. As with many of the legal aspects that we touch on in any of these homeschooling videos, each state can be a little bit different. So it's not necessarily true that if your child has been diagnosed with a disability and you choose not to educate them in public school, that they automatically have to get services. You really need to check out the legal status within each state and how that federal law will apply in your state. Very often, you can still get services. If your child needs speech work and they've been diagnosed with like a speech impediment or something speech related, you could get potentially speech services through the school and have an IEP related to that. The same goes with numerous of other examples, occupational therapy things. There's countless examples of services that a school might be providing special education students that could still be given to your homeschool student. Outside of that, there are specialists out there, people in private practice, and that is a different kind of avenue. Like, what would the school district have to pay or not if you want to go to see somebody who's outside of the school department? So those are the kind of legal aspects that you just need to find in your state, and there's plenty of resources out there on the internet for you to do just that. So having received my master's degree in special education and having worked for years working with students who essentially had fixed mindset, and inevitably, over and over and over again, kids who struggled in school had a mindset that was not supportive of them achieving success. Now, it may have been that mindset developed because they struggled with some academic skill sets, right? There could be some neurological things, it could have been physical things, it could have been all kinds of factors that influence that mindset and make them less likely to believe they're capable of learning, to believe that they are smart, or any of those kind of limiting beliefs that people begin to adopt when they first struggle trying to do something. But your mindset is dual. It works both ways, right? So when you believe that you cannot not learn, and this was something we worked with my students on continually to embed that belief, that has a profound impact on your ability to address whatever your, quote, learning disability or whatever the reason you have the IEP is, the goals that you have set up. You want the mindset such that you can begin to attack and use the right strategies to help you reach your full potential given whatever it is that's going on inside you. It is enormously influential to get that mindset right in order to be able to properly implement an IEP. To implement IEP goals in a homeschool setting, there's often really advantages to that, and that's the size, the number of students you have, if you really is just your family. But even if you are co-oping and you're collaborating with other families, the numbers are such that it's going to be much easier to directly take those goals and differentiate learning for the child who's struggling with whatever area it is that the IEP is supposed to be directing. You can have that. There's also, it's much more hospitable in terms of well, in a public school setting, you get all the other social dynamics that aren't always positive. I'm not saying you don't get those in a homeschool, but you're in much more control of those and better control over those, particularly when you cooperate with other families. So all that offers more possibilities and potential for implementing that on a much cleaner, I don't know if that's really the word I want to say, but much easier basis in a homeschool setting than a public school setting. For a real life example, we're going to look at somebody that is often used in this kind of example, somebody who had learning challenges. He was a difficult child in school, and that was Thomas Edison. He was labeled, right? Back in the days of Edison, they didn't understand all the different types of learning disabilities and in those kind of situations that we now understand. So he was not comfortable in public school learning in that way. He had challenges with the way it was being delivered. So his mom pulled him out and was able to individualize his educational program, IEP, right? And in doing so, really tap into his desire and interest in science and engineering and figuring things out. And well, we know what Thomas Edison did and accomplished, and all the inventions that he had, and the development of electrical power and the light bulb and all those things that Edison accomplished. In large part, he accomplished because of the education he got from being homeschooled. Please consider subscribing to my channel. Again, we've got lots of videos out there, more videos being added all the time, a lot of different topics. Got some podcasts that you can find that you may be interested in, so I encourage you to do that. In particular, you might be interested in watching the video, How to Make Friends as a Homeschooler. So check that video out today.